Hello, everyone. My name is Marta Sulkiewicz. I'm the head of the global research solution at Similarweb. And I will be sharing with you the story about the digital data signals, how they can help us to execute a better marketing strategy or to evaluate if our strategy is good enough. And we will be learning on two examples, Shein's boom and bad, buzz and beyond. Vast. So let's start with just explaining the concept of digital data signals. Companies' business performance, the brand health, product market fit, marketing cost efficiency, or even customer monetization and retention, all these KPIs are well correlated with specific digital data signals, which you could track for your competitors or to understand and contextualize your performance. We working with many global companies which are very tech savvy, like investors in the US, in particular here in the example of Jefferies, or the big tech companies like Google. We discovered that they integrate our data in a very smart way in their reporting, in their decision-making process. What they are doing, they are interpreting audience behavior, web and app usage, and search behavior data to understand what's happening on the market, to evaluate if a company is going into good direction, if the strategy is successful or effective or efficient. And we want to get inspired by them. So what we will present you today is the same concept of interpreting digital data signals and the correlations on two examples, Bed Bath & Beyond and Shein. The strong correlation will be presented based on the bankruptcy of this a big omnichannel retailer and the big boom and in amazing growth of the Shein, which is a company that disrupted fast fashion market segment. Let's start with the Bed Bath & Beyond. This is a very exciting story, and we are every day finding new episodes. But let's start from the beginning, moving 3 years back. When COVID started, for the entire home furniture and home decoration category, it meant only one thing. Everything moved to digital. So all the omnichannel retailers, of course, had a challenging time, but also, needed to speed up with their digital transformation. When we observe just, digital traffic to these categories, we see that at the COVID 3 years ago, it was the peak. And since then, it was slightly declining with 3 years, 3% year-over-year decline, which is not a drama. However, when we look not just at the traffic, which is a factor indicating the demand, but at the converted visits, which is showing a real purchases, we could actually observe that there is a bigger decline over the last year, minus 11% in converted visits. It means that with the inflation and cost of living crisis, customers are thinking twice before taking any purchase decision. What does it mean for the entire category of home furniture? Of course, we cannot generalize. If we segment the market into the smaller pieces, we're going to discover that not everything going to have this minus 11% average. And if you segment the market into the specific market players, you're going to see that their year-over-year decrease in converted visits is not equal. What you can see on this slide is full year 2022 compared to the year before, and the decline in the converted visits, Bed Bath & Beyond with minus 26% decline year-over-year, and Overstock doing even worse with minus 39% decline, while the other players were doing relatively well with Wayfair minus 16%, very close to the average, Kohl's minus 4%, amazing result, and the Walmart or Target categories, which are either kitchen or home decoration or furniture, at the 2 digits number around minus 16, 14, 13%, so very close to the average. Of course, when you think about just like a website's converted visits, it's only the part of the picture. We need to complete the picture each time, looking at the app adoption. So how big is the app in to the total visitors in digital? So here on this chart, you could see monthly active app users to the total visitors coming either from the app or from the web. And you could see that the average for the category is around 10% of app users. So 10% of digital customers adopted the app. Some of the companies are a bit better, like Overstock or the Home Depot. Some just at the average, and Bed Bath & Beyond is below. The rule of thumb is that any successful retailer has a very good app adoption, because app customers are simply converting better, are more loyal, and you could really monetize them better. However, what is a worrying trend for the Bed Bath & Beyond was that the app usage was down by 47% over the last 2 years. It means that since COVID, they lost half of people using their app. So if you think that a company is not good in the web converted visits, it's not good in the app usage, you might think like what they need is a good customer acquisition strategy. And when we were looking at the PPC spend, so the cost of the paid customer acquisition to the period over period growth, we could see that Bed Bath & Beyond was actually spending very, very little money comparing to the competitors to acquire the customers. In particular, in Q4, when everybody in the market is investing, because that's simply the high season, and the calls, as you could see, have very like a high investment, but at the same time resulted with a great growth. Of course, if you think that it's only the investment in the traffic acquisition, it doesn't mean a lot in the context of the monetization, but then you can look at the other quadrant, which is showing you converted visits to total visits, in this case, coming from the paid media, so from the 2 paid media channels. And again, we could see that even tiny spendings, tiny budget of Bed Bath & Beyond, by the way, Overstock as well, was not monetized well. So if the Home Depot, Kohl's, or Wayfair were really monetizing well the converted, the paid traffic, Bed Bath & Beyond and Overstock had a very poor performance here. Then you could think about, okay, if this is a very strong brand, maybe they do not need such a, like intense advertising expenses, because they are omni-channel retailer. They are visible at every corner. Whenever you cross the street, you see their logo. So their brand is so strong that they do not need to invest in the paid traffic acquisition. But actually, that's not true as well. We still observe the same Q4, so significant for any retail business. And we could see on the quadrant branded search volume to direct traffic proportion. And as you could observe, Bed Bath & Beyond and Overstock have the weakest brands in the market. While Bed Bath & Beyond is omnichannel retailer, you could see the omnichannel retailer in the red circles. So it's much easier for them to be top of mind for the customers. That's quite interesting insights also in the context of the news from last week and the recent Overstock's announcement, but we will continue this story in few slides. So the end effect was that the reported sales was down, and the reported sales was year over year 41% down. That's the sales coming from both digital and brick and mortar channel. That all led to the bankruptcy announced in April this year. And on the chart, you could see the blue line showing the reported numbers, with the orange line showing the numbers reported by Similarweb of the converted online visits. And you could see how perfectly both numbers are correlated. and showing in the end of the day, very similar year-over-year trend, 45% to 41%. Even if it's only digital sales compared to the total omnichannel revenues, and the digital sales in 2022 represented only 27% of the total sales of Bed Bath & Beyond. But this story actually has a next episode. And when we were looking at the market share of Bed Bath & Beyond last year, it was nearly 9%. So of course, every player on the market wanted to get this piece of pie once the company announced the bankruptcy. So what we actually could observe starting from the beginning of the year is that everybody started to fight for these market shares. And one of the companies were very, very successful in that. That was Wayfair. They increased their share from 17 to 25%. Which is like an amazing achievement. At the same time, Bed Bath & Beyond decreased their market share from nearly 9% to only 3% when looking at a period from January till May. The recent news is that Overstock won the auction for Bed Bath & Beyond intellectual property digital assets. What does it mean? They bought the brand, they bought the digital assets, so the website, the app, the customers, digital data, but they decided not to buy traditional stores. They paid for these transactions 21.5 million. And just last Thursday, Overstock announced they're gonna rebrand to Bed Bath & Beyond. On the brand quadrant presented a couple of slides back, you could see that Bed Bath & Beyond isn't really much stronger brand comparing to the Overstock if you look at the digital brand strength. So it's neither not, searched, so people are not searching for this brand, nor people are not directly coming to the website at scale, or they are not using the app. So the question is it's not a big budget, but the question is if the rebranding of Overstock is really a good decision. What learnings we could take from this interesting story? First of all, correlation of the data should be for us like a clear indicator that we should set up the monitoring of specific KPIs in the turbulent times in particular. First takeaway is probably strong brands are crisis resistant, so monitoring of the brand strength using the branded keywords and the organic traffic volume to website is very helpful, in particular in the context of the market and in comparison to the key competitors. The second point is, of course, time for the efficient growth, and controlling cost efficiency is crucial. So analyzing and benchmarking the proportion of the paid spend to the traffic and converted traffic dynamics gives us like a good indication that we have the cost efficiency under control and we are the most cost efficient in the entire industry, in the entire market, which is on one hand like an amazing argument for any financial department in the company, proving that the marketing investments are spent well. Third, it's just focusing on the retention and loyalty, what simply means like, tracking the customer engagement, benchmarking and monitoring app adoption, but also audience exclusivity and loyalty, as well as the time spent. So the time customers engage with your brand online is crucial because it's just much cheaper to retain the customers rather than acquire the new one. And of course, last but not least, monetization is the key for any ROI discussion. So monetization efficiency, which can be monitored in the converted visits and subscription performance against the market, and also looking at it in particular by filtering the paid traffic acquisition only, is it's another proof that we could present to any stakeholders in the companies that we are doing a better job than any competitors in the market and our budget is spent efficiently. general story we could take also from this inspiring example is that without a strong digital strategy, like a no traditional giant is safe nowadays, and bankruptcy of such a big omnichannel retailer like Bed Bath & Beyond is a great proof of that. And then a decrease of the marketing investment is also like not a good sign, in particular in the retail business, when in the high season you really need to invest to stay top of mind for the customers. So who is the winner during these turbulent times? If the home decoration category was not doing amazingly over the last year, what about, for instance, fast fashion? So this is why we will be looking at the Shein. Shein is a brand being named another Chinese unicorn, a TikTok of e-commerce company with an amazing growth over the last couple of years, but also with incredible ambitions. One of ambitions is to double the revenues they have right now, so to reach $60 billion by 25. So in just 2 years, that would be a higher number than the combined sales of 2 retail giants as H&M and Zara all together. So this is Shein's ambition, and it seems like they are going into this direction. Right now, globally, they are #1 app in the fashion category. They are also #1 website in the fashion category by traffic size, and growing faster than anybody in category. Also, it's #1 site, not only among Generation Z, because they managed to expand into the other audience segments. And right now, it's really the website commonly used by people aged 35, 55, and as well as not only female, but also men. Now, we can look at this brand in the context of the traffic, in the context of the app. But when we look at the brand and the brand quadrant with the brand strength, we could see that worldwide, it's actually already the strongest fast fashion brand. Branded search volume combined with the direct traffic to the website, positions Shein at the highest level, higher than Zara, H&M, or Gap, or Next, or any other omni-channel retailer with brand built for years and also big omni-channel presence. But that's the global picture, and market by market, if we look at the key global markets, it will present slightly a different competitive landscape. So for instance, in the US, Shein still has the highest branded search volume, but and that's mainly thanks to the digital-only marketing strategy with heavy influencer marketing investment. But actually, when it comes to the direct traffic, still Gap or ASOS or Zara are on the higher level. In the UK, for instance, it's not so strong. So you could see them in the middle of the quadrant with branded search on the 4th position in the industry and 3rd position industry when it comes to the direct traffic. And then when you move to France again, you could see that this is definitely a leader, taking over both global and local brands. And when you move to Germany, you could see that it receives a 2nd highest branded search position, and they are actually very close to the omnichannel giant H&M, and how they are able to get to these numbers. And here we will just present the US data. They have very aggressive and successful customer acquisition strategy. So when you look at the PPC spend versus growth, they are the ones that are just spending a lot, and they are the only ones that are growing. Here you could see the numbers from November till April compared to the previous 6 months, and Shein is the only player that managed to grow. But some would say this is the growth at any cost. So then we wanted to look at the monetization efficiency, trying to understand if this traffic is really converting well. So what we were looking at was the first channel, paid search, that Shein is like actually over-investing when you compare to any other company in the category, but is also investing with like a good ROI. As you could see, it's over the average line of 3.3% conversion rate. So they are able to monetize 1 out of 30 visits coming from the paid search. Then we were looking at the visits coming from social. Visits coming from social media in Similarweb would cover both paid but also organic, as well as influencer marketing activities on social media. And here again, we could see how Shein outperforms competitors, just having like a totally different scale comparing to anybody else. Of course, the conversion rate is not as high as from the paid search because very often it's kind of a brand building activity. So somebody would follow up looking for a Shein brand in Google, not exactly by just, like a clicking on the ad and continuing to the website. So this is also like another indicator of super strong strategy. If you look at the price per unit at Shein, you could have a doubt if this company is really profitable, and they claim they are profitable. But actually, the fact that they offer such a cheap apparel is actually also helping them to avoid a very important issue, which is touching all the players in the online fashion retail, which is the returns. So essentially, when you look at these two numbers, two lines on the charts, you could see ASOS and Shein share of the visits which are coming to the returns section of the website. For ASOS, the problem used to be as big that you could see over the 10% of all the visits to the websites were to the return section. And it's like at the highs, it was around 15%. Now it dropped to around 8%, while for Shein, it's all the time around 3%. The products are so cheap that it doesn't make sense to send them back. Like a worst case scenario, you can just, wash the floor with this t-shirt. And how important is that for the profitability of the company is being presented by ASOS in their latest reports, that they claim they identified 6% of the active customers which had negative impact on their profitability with over 100 million pounds impact. This is the group of customers that would purchase apparel and then return it back using very often BNPL option, so not covering any costs. So these are the customers who would do so-called try before buy. In the report we published a couple of months ago about the BNPL, we identified 26% of 18-24 years old, so Generation Z, declaring that they use BNPL just to try products before they buy. And this could impact profitability of ASOS by 100 million pounds. But what is next for Shein? The company is, growing, has been growing really, really rapidly. Right now, they are slowing down with the growth. First, articles appeared at the beginning of this year saying that these explosive years of explosive growth are over. What we could see in our data, there is some stagnation in converted visits. When we look at the data, for instance, since March, so April and May, there was no significant growth versus March 23. And there is even a slight decline in the digital traffic. However, we could still see the increase in the app usage. It's plus 16%, the same period, so April, May versus March. Their growth is not like as big as it used to be because they are stepping into the niche segments. For example, like a male accessories or plus size segments. These segments are not big. They are rather tiny in terms of the share of the traffic. But what we investigated is that they can convert even up to 12 or 16% conversion rate. So that's like, that's showing that this is the investment like into very many niche market segments, but all of them with a good product market fit and like giving a good ROI of any marketing investment. And last but not least, I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but Shein uses AI in the entire process of the apparel design, taking the pictures, preparing the content on the website, presenting anything on the website. So there is no fashion designer in the process. There is nobody thinking about the trends here. It's all AI taking care of deciding which pieces of apparel should be designed, produced, and how they should be presented on the AI-generated models. And sometimes you could get to the traps of this type of an automatized process. And you can see here, this is the real picture, screenshot from the US Shein websites from the main page of the Men Apparel website, showing what AI just decided to present given day. What is the algorithm optimized with? It's optimized with the clicks, what people are clicking on the Shein website, what people are observing there, what people are buying there. Then AI gonna prepare and produce another versions of the same product. Let's say that people started to click and buy t-shirts with avocados, then AI gonna produce 100 other t-shirts with different fruits patterns. And then, if people like them and buy them, then it's gonna produce even more. So this is the humanized process of the fashion design, also very scary, together with the entire business model of fast fashion, very harmful for the planet, but at the same time, very interesting from the technology adaptation perspective. So which data signals we should track? What are the lessons we could learn from Bed Bath & Beyond and Shein? Of course, from Bed Bath & Beyond, in turbulent times, it's really important to monitor all the relevant KPIs, which are important for our business, and control if our efficiency is at the market average or over the market average, if we are the most efficient spenders in the market. From the Shein story, we could, of course, learn that looking at the most efficient and fastest growing companies in the world, using branded search, share of spend, or conversion rates can give us amazing insights. And we could go under the skin of any data of Shein, looking what exactly people are searching on Shein, using the on-site search data, which exactly, market segments are getting the most traffic and the highest conversion rates. Now, of course, we cannot say that this is the list of metrics every company will benefit from. So what we advise everybody to do is to look for the correlations between the digital data and the KPIs that will define success in your specific category. And once this is done, start to track the market shares, ranking positions, competitors' activities within the defined KPIs that will work for the specific business model. And Similarweb data is just amazing source of the insights to answer these critical business questions, because we do have online behavioral data both pre and post purchase. We have the full view of the market, capturing both websites and apps. We have very granular insights, very granular data, which means we could give the actionable insights, and everything is of course updated near real time. And I'm happy to open the Q&A session. I saw there is already a first question from Greg. How do you compare Shein with the competitors from a website aggregated perspective? It is only limited to the .com, or is aggregated using all the domains. So on some markets, we were just looking at the .com, for instance, in the US. On some markets, we were aggregating the domains. So for instance, in France, that was the case, and in the UK as well. In general, it's true that for from the global perspective, as well as when we need to do the aggregation, we need to take a couple of domains. Sometimes the local domains would represent very tiny portion of the traffic, like a 5 or 10%, but sometimes they're going to be significant. And for instance, that's the case of many players, in particular in the UK and in France. Another comment to the aggregation here is also we defined very specifically fast fashion market segment, taking into the consideration a cheapest apparel segment, not looking, for instance, at the players like Zalando that would have or Macy's products from different price levels, both fast fashion and more luxury and premium fashion. So this is another comment to the aggregation. Somebody was also asking if we're going to share the deck. Of course, we're going to share the deck as well as the recording. And we got another question. Do you have any learnings regarding pricing strategies of those competitors, which maybe can be linked to their traffic conversion rate figures? So that's a very good question, in particular for these two examples. So for the Bed Bath & Beyond, one of the reasons why they were really not doing so well was that at some point they decided to get rid of the private labels and they just focused on very premium brands. So at the time when inflation increased and the cost of living crisis started, that was just a very poor strategy in the context of the product market fit. So what we do have is only some limited insights on the price level on some marketplaces, and this is a data available at Similarweb in the solution named Shopper Intelligence. But at the same time, we are looking at the what people are searching for in the specific categories, and we are able to segment the retailer into the subcategories. So for instance, looking at the conversions of the home decoration versus a home furniture, knowing products from different price levels are converting. And also at the same time, we are looking what people are looking for in the Google search, because this is a good indicator of the trends. So if people are looking for, let's say, a cheap furniture, and then which website they're going to end up and where they're going to convert. So this is another way of looking at it, but we do not monitor the price policy at all the marketplaces and all the retailers. This is unfortunately unavailable. If there are no more questions, we could just advise any of you, if anything crosses your mind, feel free to approach us, ask the questions later on. I will be happy to explain more or have a deep dive into any other market segment you could be interested in. So feel free to approach us also after this webinar. And I think that could be the closing part. Thank you very much for all the questions, and Oh no, we have one more question. So I'm coming back to Greg. Reported net sales versus converted. No, Greg, it's like it's great. Like we wish to have a long Q&A session. So we presented the chart using reported net sales versus converted online visits. Converted online visits are coming, of course, from Similarweb data, and the reported net sales is coming from the company report. So we just took it from the quarterly earning call of calls of Bed Bath & Beyond. However, there are, I would say, there are some plans to think about this approach in the product. Unfortunately, it's limited only to the public companies, so it will not be the full picture. Okay, so the converted visits are defined. Like the question is like how do we calculate the converted visits? Converted visits are the visits which are ending up on the thank you page. So like ending up with a purchase. So there is a process of purchase. There is like a thank you page, which means that the purchase was successful. Of course, at this stage, we do not know if that ended up with a return or if that was like a final purchase, but at least we know that a customer purchased something and ended up at the thank you page. And because we know the source of the traffic, so if the customer was coming from the paid search activity or from the organic search or from the like a direct, it was the direct traffic, so directly placing, let's say Shein or Bed Bath & Beyond in the URL, then we can connect these two numbers, so we could both see general conversions as well as the conversions per traffic source per channel. Thank you, Greg. Right, so if there are no more questions, then guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Maria, also for a warm feedback. Happy to connect with all of you on LinkedIn and write to us, follow up with more questions in the future. Thank you.